Hi, this is Chris from the Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from Political Voices Network.
He's not going to be able to restrain himself with regard to a gag order if it is indeed imposed. I think it is. I think we're going to see it imposed.
Yeah.
But yeah, and this whole dilemma that the journalism folks are facing right now, which is what do you do with him? Do you cover him or not? Do you give him the platform or not? What is the format we could possibly use to refute every word that comes out of his mouth? I think that's not going well. So here we are.
And Frank, speaking of that, the gag order and Judge Chutkan, it's, people are saying, oh, it's like he's daring her to throw him in jail because then he'll cry victim and try to inflame more violence. I mean, where do you fall on that? We're in this dilemma of, not caving to the bullies. I mean, you saw that, the headlines I saved for you from last week, threats mount against prosecutors, FBI agents working on Hunter Biden probe. They're going to turn to the bullet. Extremism expert sounds the alarm over MAGA rage. It's hard to overestimate the threat environment we're in, isn't it?
I think we're in the highest threat and risk environment that I've seen, certainly in my lifetime. And remember, I was in the FBI during 9/11 terror attacks. That was a threat where we kind of knew the enemy. We were able to ferret that out. And yes, it was high threat, but this is something entirely different. For the first time in the FBI's history, NBC News has now reported they had to stand up a unit to deal, dedicated to deal with threats against agents, their families, and to prosecutors. That is an abomination that the men and women, career men and women who simply said, I want to serve the public and protect my community, are now having to figure out how to protect themselves from the community that they're policing. Unbelievable time.
I know. So I was just thinking of almost everything he said was a lie in this Meet the Press interview. But this lie again about Nancy Pelosi turned down National Guard troops, and I ordered them. His own defense secretary testified under oath that is not true. And this is and I get it that Kristen Welker can't, I guess, push back on every single lie because almost everything he said was a complete lie. But that's really important, isn't it? That whole section.
So a couple of things. Yes, he lied throughout the interview, and you have to wonder who does that help? Who wins, really? Anybody win on that format besides him? The man is a continuing clear and present danger to our democracy.
Yeah. And
it's tough to give that a platform in any way, shape, or form. It's not going to end. He wants to be gagged. He wants the judge, he's already dehumanized, to hold him in contempt so he can raise more money off of that. Guaranteed, he's going to be doing that. And yeah, she'll use kid gloves. There'll be like 3, double secret probation, 3 warnings, right? She'll go carefully with him. But eventually he'll do it.
I'm glad we have the Animal House standard, at least. Double secret probation for whatever frat that was. Yeah.
That's in federal law only. And then he'll use proxies and surrogates. When he decides to be quiet for a while, you'll see Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene. Lauren Boebert's tied up right now. Well, not literally.
Literally.
But the proxies are what concerns me the most because really the judge has no authority over those folks.
Yeah. This is the other article I was mentioning. The supporters of Trump are growing increasingly enraged over their political defeats, more likely to turn to violence, according to one extremism expert. He said, I'm obviously horrified and concerned. We're going to see more white racist terror attacks and hate crimes. When they figure out they can't win legitimately at the ballot box, they're going to turn to the bullet. And we've obviously already seen that. I mean, as I keep saying, Judge Chutkan needs federal marshals to go get a cup of coffee.
I tell you what, there was a wake-up call for me a couple of weeks ago. The University of Chicago released the results of a project where they found well over 12 million Americans support the idea of use of force to restore Trump to the Oval Office. That is astounding. And I did a YouTube, on my new YouTube channel, I did a little piece on that and said, boy, this really was astounding. These people are willing apparently to lose their lives for one man, one party. Do you know the response to that included people saying, it's just the beginning. I'm part of that, and it's way more than 12 million people. And we are not fighting for one man. We're fighting for the survival of our country. So buckle in. That was the response to the study.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, Frank, it's just this. We have one party that doesn't. We've never been here before. Doesn't believe in democracy. Doesn't believe in the rule of law, which must come as quite startling to you, because this is the party that's claimed to be the party of law and order all these years. We were just talking about them voting to acquit Ken Paxton, who I know he remains under another investigation, and but this is Republicans saying their new rule is if you're a Republican, you are never guilty.
It's
right?
Teflon. It's Teflon. It's whatever is necessary for the greater good to quote unquote save our country from the evil people. And we've demonized everybody. Yeah, but I listened intently to the evidence in the Attorney General Paxton case in Texas, and I thought, boy, there's some encouraging light here. The Republican Party is impeaching one of their own in a major red state. Well, sure enough. Although every day I listened, I went, well, he's guilty of sin. That's unbelievable. Yeah. There he goes, acquitted. Yeah.
But this is the environment we're in. The reporting that Trump and his allies pressured them with, we're going to primary you if you vote. Mitt Romney saying people were afraid for their lives, so they didn't vote for Trump's impeachment. It goes all the way up to the national level. I mean, I was, Friday the news came down that, the men acquitted in the Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping, and I couldn't even remember the details, but Kathleen tweeted, important context, 9 other people were convicted in the terrorist plot to kidnap and probably execute Governor Whitmer. So these were sort of were these the straggler doofuses at the end, the last 3
they
or
were.
something?
Yep, they were, but you'll never hear that reported on certain platforms, right? You'll just hear It was entrapment and guys got off and it was a joke, when in reality, there were people who actually pled guilty, and are in prison. So this is our life, and it doesn't bode well for the 2024 election, because nobody should be surprised. We've seen the strategy. It's going to be win or lose, just claim you won, claim fraud. And boy, if we get assistance, Stephanie, from some of our foreign adversaries, if those intelligence services decide to help Trump, decide to do things like deep fake videos, audios, keep people away from polling places, we'll be in trouble.
I feel like, in general, not to blame one person or even network, Frank, I feel like the mainstream media, we're just not equipped to deal with this threat of actual fascism or autocracy coming to America. There's too much of a feeling it can't happen here. But to your point, I think it was Robert Reich just said, gas prices are going up. He said that is at the fault of MBS and Putin, who, if you don't think they'll do everything they can to ensure Trump gets reelected. So you're right, between that and AI and God knows what else, right? It is a terrifying time.
Look, it's the sad state of affairs. Many Americans will sit there and go, okay, look, democracy, the price of bacon is high. I go with the price of bacon, right?
Yeah.
And
that's why you give a platform to Trump to say bacon is 5 times more expensive, which would make it $30 a pound, which is, again.
Which, of course, I would still pay, but that's
I know you would, Frank.
Yes.
Yeah. That's because
But yeah, I fear that we've lost the notion of common values, right?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, we're now arguing about whether democracy is something good? Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that doesn't surprise me, the bacon thing, because you are a grade A slab of just man meat.
Stephanie Louise.
What? There it is, my first drink of the day, Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic. Many of you know my story. I stopped drinking wine for 3 years during COVID, during the lockdown as part of a health reset. Now I drink wine in moderation, but this is an amazing new product. I've always believed in probiotics. And Z-Biotics, check this out. You drink just one of these. It's the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. I am using this and I feel great in the morning. I don't have to worry if I have an extra glass of wine, I still feel great in the morning. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. I've always had acid reflux problems. It is this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Z-Biotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. All I know is it works. It is Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic. Go to zbiotics.com/politicalvoices or scan the QR code on the screen right now.